Lantern Beware My Power is another animated film set within the new DC animated continuity. I think this continuity is called the Tomorrowverse or something like that. If you've seen films like Superman, The Man of Tomorrow, or The Justice Society, World War II, or Batman, The Long Halloween, Parts 1 and 2, this film fits within the continuity of those films. Features the voice talents of Aldous Hodge and Ike Amadi and Nolan North and a few other people. This film does take some inspiration from some storylines from the comics, a few different ones, Emerald Flights, 0 Hour, Crisis in Time. Most notably takes inspiration from the Rand Thanagar storyline from 2005, I think it was. John Stewart is a former Marine soldier who becomes Green Lantern after the death of a well-known and popular Green Lantern. All of a sudden, he is swept up into a big conspiracy that takes place in the middle of this gigantic war between Randian and Thanagar forces. Now he has to navigate this conspiracy and this war with the help of Shayera Hall, aka Hawkgirl, and Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, who is now a member of the Justice League. Up until this point, I've enjoyed all of the Tomorrowverse films to some degree. I mean, there's some variants here and there. I like some more than others. I love some more than others, but overall, I've had a positive experience. Not to mention, Aldous Hodge is voicing Green Lantern in this movie. Aldous Hodge, who also is playing Hawkman in the upcoming Black Adam movie. Not to mention, it's John Stewart. John Stewart is my favorite Green Lantern. I love this man. He's one of my favorite characters in all of comics. So, like, this movie was set up to be like one of my favorite animated DC movies. And is it one of my favorite animated DC movies? Well, you know, well, let's talk about the good stuff with the movie first. The animation for this movie is really, really fucking good. It's not just that it's really good, it really accentuates and emphasizes facial expressions, the fluidity of movement, and it just feels like the perfect type of animation for the stories that they're going for in this new continuity. There's a lot of creative and inventive different constructs and different things that they do in the action scenes in this movie to really make them stand out. I would probably go so far as to suggest that the action sequences in this movie are the best that the Tomorrowverse has offered so far. Also, if you're a big DC Comics fan, there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs, references, cameos from characters that you know from the comics, from certain storylines. You're going to see them pop up in this movie, and you're going to get somewhat of a kick out of seeing them here. Green Arrow and Hawkgirl specifically added something as far as like character-wise to this movie. Green Arrow with his levity and some of his Arrow badassery. I really love seeing Ollie in this movie. Shayera is typical Shayera in this movie, but love her or hate her, she's gonna be the same Hawkgirl that she always is. And I like the dynamic that she had with Green Arrow and with Green Lantern in this movie. Thank God we got to the negatives. I don't have to pretend to be nice to this movie anymore. I could just take a giant dump all over it. I'm exaggerating. I'm not gonna like take a giant dump all over it, but I might piss on its grave a little bit. This is the first film in the Tomorrowverse that feels like a major misfire. When you separate yourself from the animation and the action sequences, which you can have a good time with, a lot of it is just, it just feels butchered. There's no other way for me to say it. A lot of the story, the plot, the characters in this movie just feel butchered or wasted. Start with John Stewart, who's supposed to be the main character in this movie. The problem is this movie is overstuffed to the brim with so many characters and so many other plot lines. There's way too much going on in this movie to properly flesh out and give John Stewart and his backstory the attention that it deserves. You're introduced to so many other characters, but unfortunately not enough is put on John and his arc. Not enough is put on fleshing out his character, and as a result, the stuff that they do try to attempt with him by the end, it doesn't feel earned. It feels forced. It feels half-assed. There's like a little thing that the film is trying to have a conversation about morality and about killing or whatever, and it tries to tie it into this weird PTSD thing going on with John. None of it is executed at the way that it should be. By the end of the film, it feels like they have nothing really significant to add to this conversation. There are so many different characters and villains thrown into this movie that feel completely wasted. If you're not a DC Comics fan, you're not going to know who they are. If you are a DC Comics fan, you're going to feel frustrated because it's like, why would you just throw them in here for this specific role? You're not even going to have them say anything. Most importantly, when it comes to getting into this mystery behind this gigantic war between Rand and Thanagar, I hated the direction that they took with this in the comics. I did not like it, how it was adapted here. But because it's from the comics, I could have at least like tolerated them at least attempting that storyline. It's the way that they did it in this movie. It just does not work at all. There is not enough heft and not enough weight given to the why of the actions and the motivation behind the villains in this movie. It's all explained in one throwaway sentence that doesn't make you feel better and doesn't even make that much sense. There are characters in this movie whose motivations and actions really don't match up with the character that they're trying to portray. There's a specific band of fans out there who like a specific character who are going to absolutely hate this movie. Also, Aldous Hodge, I love him. Sometimes his voice voice felt very stiff, very robotic. It felt like he wasn't really putting that much into the performance. It's a Jon Stewart movie that doesn't put enough emphasis and focus on Jon Stewart. It's too busy focusing on everything else. I can't say that I hate this movie, but I'm not a big fan of it whatsoever. I'm gonna give this one the rating of kryptonite. If you did see this movie, tell me what you thought about it. Give me your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.